Talks for the proposed FY2021 budget continued on April 29th as Director of Fiscal and Administrative Services Jennifer Ellen and Chief of Budget Jacob Dyer presented to the County Commissioners the County Administrator's budget, which includes 11 departments.
We're picking up today with the County Administrator departments, which are listed on this page for you. There's 11 different areas. In total, the County Administrator budget proposed for next year is $67.6 million, which is a 2.9% increase over the current year.
The proposed budget for the Department of Emergency Services included funding for 10 new positions. The Department of Public Works proposed budget is $436,000 below the previous year's budget.
Good afternoon again. This is Jake Dyer, Chief of Budget, and on page 25 is the Emergency Services proposed budget for FY 2021. The proposed budget is increasing by 7.8%, or $1,380,600. This proposed budget includes funding for 10 new positions for emergency medical services to provide an additional EMS crew in Waldorf. It also provides funding to support a reorganization in EMS that will add 2 new EMS positions and upgrade 5 current positions to the paramedic supervisor level, as well as 1 position to the Assistant Chief of Special Operations. This reorganization is needed to alleviate the strain that has been placed on the current supervisors by creating a 3rd battalion. The budget also continues to fund the Mobile Integrated Health Program. The hospital will be providing funding to support the nurse position. This nurse position is currently funded by the health department, and that position will be transitioning to the EMS division beginning on July 1. The FY 2021 budget also includes the full year impact of positions approved during the FY 2020 budget adoption, and that budget included an additional dispatcher positions for FY20, as well as more EMS employees to assist with a float crew to assist them. The FY 2021 budget includes funding for medical supplies, an increase for medical supplies, as well as contractual services to support our first responders in EMS. The FY 2021 proposed budget includes the purchase of replacement equipment / vehicles that will be bank financed included in the debt service budget, and it also includes funding from reserves of $75,000. This funding of one time is to purchase 10 portable radios for EMS responders.
The Department of Public Works, the facilities section, the proposed budget for next year is $15.3 million, which is actually $436,000 below the current year adopted budget. It does include funding to support some repairs at the county fueling sites, which are needed. And then we adjusted based on anticipated expenditures, in particular savings for electricity and utility cost, partly due to the implementation of the new energy savings project. And yesterday we discussed how the debt service budget would be increasing for that, and also reducing the fuel budget based on the current estimates and how we anticipate fuel prices to be in the upcoming year. There was a reorganization approved during FY 2020 for facilities, and those costs are included in this. And then we will be purchasing some replacement equipments and vehicles, which will be bank financed, and also doing that energy savings lease again. So this budget does include $73,000 of one-time cost, and most of that has to do with upgrading those fuel sites as needed.
A 2.7% increase was proposed for recreation, parks, and tourism. This increase will help meet the new minimum wage law. The Fiscal and Administrative Service budget includes a new security analyst position.
The Recreation, Parks, and Tourism budget. The FY 2021 proposed budget is $9,484,200, which is just about a 2% increase over the FY 2020 adopted. What's in the proposed budget? The proposed budget includes funding to support the county recreation programs, including the Rec Assist program that was newly implemented during the FY 2020 budget during the mid-year. That is a scholarship program that is offered by the department to county residents that would meet certain criteria to give them the ability to do more recreation programs. Additionally, in the FY 2021 budget is an increase in part-time funding for the new minimum wage law. The minimum wage law that was approved by the General Assembly during the FY 2019 session increased minimum wage every year for on January 1 until you get to $15 per hour. This implementing on January 1, 2021 will increase the minimum wage rate from $11 to $11.75. This impact is impacting this budget because most of our employees in this department are part-time. Also in the FY 2021 budget includes the purchase of replacement equipment and vehicles that will be bank financed, and that budget is included in the debt service budget.
Next, we have fiscal and administrative services. The proposed budget for next year is $7,238,600. This does provide funding for a new security analyst position and some multi-factor authentication to assist with cybersecurity related tasks for the county. We were able to fund this by increasing our indirect cost allocations to the enterprise funds. So up until now, the general fund pretty much had been funding all of our cybersecurity efforts. So we increased the revenues that we will receive from the enterprise funds. So it's a net cost of zero to the general fund. We are also going to convert some part-time funding to a full-time technology support specialist. So this is your help desk, our frontline positions. We're going to take, as I said, about 2 equivalent fundings of part-time and make it into 1 full-time. And again, no impact to the general fund. I would just like to point out that our IT division does support other departments, so some of our increase has to deal with things such as the online permit guide software, mapping software for public works, and some online training software for emergency services, as well as the cost of adding phone lines and additional cell phone cost for employees. All of that is funneled through our IT budget. So that is it for our proposed fiscal services budget.
Planning and Growth Management proposes a 3.8% increase over FY 2020. Included is funding to support the county's Van Go program, while the Department of Community Services shows a decrease of $93,000 due to funding received from grants.
The FY 2021 proposed budget for Planning and Growth Management Department, that budget for FY 2021 is proposed to be $7,083,200, which is a 3.8% increase over the FY 2020 budget adoption. Included in funding for FY 2021 is funding to support the county's Van Go program. The county has seen an increase in demand for ADA services for individuals with disabilities who live in fixed route areas, but are unable to access these routes, resulting in door-to-door service with the county. It also includes the full-year impact of a new inspector position that was approved during the FY 2020 budget adoption. To fit that position into the budget, we had to do a delayed hire date in FY 20, so FY 2021 includes the full-year impact of that. It also includes funding from our fund balance reserves totaling $68,000, and that is really to support our local match for capital grants related with the transit program. Our transit grants, the general fund pays a very, very small portion of that, and the rest of the remaining funds are grant funded either through the federal or state level.
Next, we have our Department of Community Services, which is actually showing a decrease of $93,000 with a proposed budget for next year of $2,690,800. The reason that we're showing a decline is actually because we're receiving some grants to help assist with our senior programs. So as the grants pick up more cost, it's a savings to our general fund. There is an increase in there also, I wanted to point out, for the county's subsidy for the Housing and Urban Development Housing Choice Voucher Program for administrative cost, but overall a decline for the department.
FY 2021 proposed budget for economic development includes funding to encourage business growth and expansion through international trade. The administrative services budget has an 11% increase due to the new positions that were approved during FY 2020.
The FY 2021 proposed budget for economic development is $1,801,100. Included in the proposed budget is funding to encourage business growth and expansion through international trade, which is a commissioner goals and objective. However, we were able to find operating cost savings in this budget and was adjusted based on spending patterns. We were also included in the budget. It maintains the department's partnership with the Small Business Development Center, and also we wanted to point out that the FY 2021 proposed budget includes our second year of our 3-year commitment to support the Velocity Center. That budget of $100,000 is not included in the Economic Development Department, is actually included in the other Economic Development section, and that budget will be reviewed later in today's presentation.
Next, we have administrative services. So this is the county administrator's budget as well as the commissioner's administration departments. The budget for next year is $1,806,500, an 11% increase, and this has to do with the new positions that were approved during FY 2020. So it includes the impact of the Chief Equity Officer, as well as the impact of the 3 positions that were added to the Commissioner's Office Administration Division. And just to point out again, in order to balance the budget, one of the things we did is the start date for 2 of these positions, which have not yet been hired, is being proposed to be delayed until November. We are also proposing to freeze the vacant assistant internal auditor position for the year. And again, this was one of the actions that we did in order to balance our budget for FY 2021.
The next budget we'll be reviewing is the County Commissioner's budget. This is a budget for FY 2021 at $782,700, about an 11% increase over the FY 2020 budget. Included in this budget, it includes the funding for Tri-County Council at $125,000, and this increase was set to $125,000 for a House bill that was approved through the General Assembly. That's House Bill 387. It also continues to support the Tri-County Council's Youth Employment Program. This funding meets their request of $91,500, which exceeds the funding level approved in the FY 2020 budget by $29,000. This funding of $91,500 will support approximately 30 Charles County participants. Last year's funding supported about 20 participants. The cost to serve one student in this program is approximately $3,050. Also in the budget, it funds the commissioner salary increases per resolution number 2018/9. The budget also assumes no change to the county commissioner expense policy and maintains the annual funding approved in FY19 as well as in FY 2020. That includes $3,600 per commissioner for annual conferences, conventions, educational seminars, etc. $1,200 per commissioner for mileage reimbursement, as well as $3,000 per commissioner for individual commissioner special projects and individual commissioner town hall meetings.
The county attorney's budget has a small increase for contracting out additional legal services. And the human resource proposed budget includes funding to continue the county's intern program.
Next, we have the county attorney's budget, a small increase of $16,600, and that's basically to increase contracting out with outside legal help for some additional services.
The next page is page 35, which is our Human Resources Department. That budget for FY 2021 is $1,134,800. And in that proposed budget, it continues to fund the county's intern program. Additionally, it includes an increase in part-time funding because they do have part-time positions, as well as those interns are considered part-time, and we have to fund them at the new minimum wage law requirements.
Budgets for debt services, Fringe Benefits, Central Services, Contingency, and OPEB contribution were also presented.
We're going to start with page 37. This is the debt service budget. The FY 2021 proposed budget is $32,358,700. In the proposed budget, it includes the annual cost to pay the principal and interest on existing debt, as well as an increase for a new bond issue for FY 2020. It also includes approximately $8.2 million for education-related debt. This debt's in the debt service budget and doesn't show up under either the Board of Education or College of Southern Maryland. It also includes funding for any vehicles and equipment that we bank finance for other agencies, including $2.2 million for the public safety sector. Well, that is $1 million for Sheriff's Office equipment, as well as $700,000 for our volunteer fire/EMS radios. And then the remaining $500,000 goes to our Emergency Services Department. Our vehicles/equipment for the general fund operations is that to be bank financed for FY 2021 totals $2,422,200. We have that list on board docs, and we'll be reviewing that with the commissioners at the end of this summary document. As well as it includes in the debt service budget includes the interest costs related to the energy saving projects that the county is going to be implementing, which will be bank financed.
The next page is Fringe Benefits, and this is basically our health insurance for our retirees, and they're retirees of the county government, the sheriff's office, the state's attorney's office, the circuit court, and the soil conservation. So we are seeing an increase of $379,300, and that's really for two reasons. One is increased participation, and the other is anticipated increases in health and dental cost.
Moving on to page 39 is central services. The FY 2021 proposed budget is $3,222,300, which is actually a decrease of $913,300, which we'll explain in a minute. This budget for FY 2021 provides adequate insurance coverage to safeguard assets such as building, vehicles, and equipment. This budget includes funding the property and liability insurance for assets that are county-owned but operated by the Sheriff's Office and the Library Board. It also continues to fund the Council of Governments Advancing Racial Equity Cohort, other known as the GARE. It also provides funding for legal fees associated with negotiating our new pilot agreement for the Morgantown Generation Center. This budget also includes one-time studies that we do each year. Right now, the studies for FY 2021 is our normal various planning studies that we do each year. Right now, that budget is $60,000. The FY 2020 budget included $980,000 in funding for one-time studies. Those studies were the Post Office Road study, the Billingsley Road study, and as well. And then we also included $375,000 in the budget in FY20 in one-time funding to help stabilize our health insurance costs. If you exclude those studies and the other one-time studies that vary from year to year, the percent change between compared to the FY 2020 budget is 3.8%.
Next page, we have our contingency budget. So last year we adopted a budget of $100,000. This year we were really having a hard time just getting this proposed budget in balance. So we are not proposing any contingency going into FY 2021 just because things are tight. So as emergencies come up, we'll have to take a look at possibly other areas and decide how to handle things in the future.
Page 41 is our OPEB contribution budget, which is currently proposed to be a $3 million budget for FY 2020. This budget adheres to our strategic plan for our OPEB contribution for FY 2021. These funds are transferred to a trust fund for future healthcare costs. The $1 million budget includes using $750,000 from our fund balance reserves that was approved at the end when we reviewed the FY19 general fund statement with the commissioners, and the remaining $250,000 increase is coming from our operating revenues.
Financing uses and the conservation of natural resources and other funding budgets were reviewed. The conservation of natural resources budget includes funding for several different agencies.
Next, we have our financing uses, which is primarily our pay-go funding for the capital projects that we have already reviewed with the commissioners. So when we were going through our CIP review, there were some projects that were listed as bond funding, and there were some that were listed as pay-go funding. So this is just list out the total that we are proposing, $2,778,000. And then the remaining $300,000 of this category is for our Watershed Restoration and Protection Fund. And we've mentioned before that part of our proposal to get the budget in balance for FY 2021 would it be to reduce the subsidy from $550,000 to $300,000. And we'll be touching on the Watershed Fund next week to show you how we're going to do that and not impact the rate that's already being proposed for next year.
The next page, page 43, is our Conservation of Natural Resources budget. This is a budget that includes funding for several agencies, including the University of Maryland Extension, Soil Conservation, the Weed Control Program, Gypsy Moth Suppression Program, the Forest Conservation District Board, and the Resource Conservation and Development, known as RC&D budgets. All these budgets total up to be a $718,900 budget for next year. In the budget includes a $37,500 increase in one-time funding for the soil conservation to repair their access road that leads to their facility. It also continues to support the Forest Conservation District Board. We did adjust the Gypsy Moth Suppression budget based on current trends. The weed control, as well as the RC&D budgets were slightly adjusted to cover salary increases for staff. That was improved during the FY2020 budget. It also provides additional funding for the University of Maryland Extension to support their employees who are on the state pay scale, that scale right now, I believe, is increasing by 2% on January 1, 2021. We also wanted to point out the FY2020 budget included $40,000 of one-time funding for the Charles County Watermen's Association. We do in this section list areas that was not in the proposed budget. There's three requests that was not. One is a $85,000 request for soil conservation to support an additional engineer position. Additionally, RC&D is requesting an additional $4,800 from support from the county to cover their operations, as well as the Charles County Watermen's Association. They were requesting $40,000 to cover a second year of oyster planting. Based on their estimates, this funding supports the planting of 11 million baby oysters.
Next, we have other, which is always a nice category. So in this case, other consists of education scholarships in the amount of $13,600. There's $25,000 for water and sewer cost for our volunteer fire and rescue and EMS facilities. So for those facilities that are hooked to the county water and sewer system, the county does pay those costs, and it is increasing by $5,000 for next year. It includes flat funding for energetics at $50,000, $38,000 for tourism grants. So our tourism division runs a program very similar to our nonprofits, to the tourism nonprofits, and this is flat funding for next year. We do have a mosquito control program. The general fund includes $124,000, but we also receive $75,000 in revenue. So this is flat funding in the general fund for next year. $120,400 to the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene as required, again, flat funding. And then $211,300 is basically a subsidy to the Water and Sewer Fund for services rendered at various county sites. So again, that way the cost isn't bared by just the water and sewer customers. We do have the second year of the commitment for the Velocity Center, so that's for $100,000, and that is already part of the Commissioner's reserved fund balance. And it does maintain the required funding. So per state code and different laws, we have to fund the Tri-County Community Action Committee, Tri-County Youth Services Bureau, and the Children's Aid Society at certain amounts. So those have been kept in the budget as required. And the Economic Development Department did request an additional $70,000 towards economic grants that we were not able to fit in.
The Liquor Board budget includes funding for a sworn officer that's dedicated to the Liquor Board. And the last budget to be reviewed in the general fund was for the Orphans Court.
Moving on to the next budget is the Liquor Board budget, which is as an FY2021 proposed budget of $268,300. This budget includes the increase in stipend for the Board of License Commissioners for the Liquor Board per the resolution number 2018/9. And additionally in this budget includes funding for a sworn officer under the Sheriff's Office that is dedicated to the Liquor Board, and that budget includes that 5% COLA that the sworn officer will be receiving on July 1.
And this is officially our last budget to review in the general fund, and that's the Orphans Court budget. Orphans Court budget next year is proposed at $64,500, which is a $1,000 increase, and that's due to the full year impact of the Orphan Court's salary increases that were approved by the state legislature. And it does continue to provide funding for one retired judge who is part of our elected official pension benefit.
To watch the full video of the work session, click on CCGTV at www.charlescountynd.gov.